What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Reformed Reader, the channel where we review different forms of media through the lens of a Christian who is under the authority of the scriptures. My name is Josh, and today I'm going to go over 5 books or series that I DNF'd, and then I'll go over why. So I'm going to jump right into it. Let's start with number 1, Star Wars Aftermath by Chuck Wendig. Now, I picked this book up. I thought the cover of this book is fantastic. I think I'll have it up on the screen somewhere right here. I had been seeing this book for years. I kept hearing about how awesome this trilogy is. And so finally, I decided to pick it up. Now, this was before I even really got back into reading. I love the Star Wars universe. I've always been into the lore. I had only read a couple of the Star Wars novels up to this point, and so I was still pretty fresh. But the premise of this book sounded awesome. So I picked it up. I got about probably not even a third of the way through. And our main character was this sort of Han Solo type of character. He sounded so cool. Then you realize pretty early on that he is married to a man. So, you know, that was pretty disappointing. I asked a friend of mine that had read the series, and he said it's a prominent plot line. So I had to put that one down just for me. It's just personal convictions, personal preferences. I don't want to be entertained by that. So I put that one down. The next one is Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This was one of the books that really hurt to put down because I picked it up kind of right when it started getting hyped up a couple of years ago. I think it might've been right when it came out. And it was so good. The premise of it was so much fun. I mean, I was reading this book, and again, it was just so much fun. Every character in it was really cool. The whole idea of we're getting the band back together in a fantasy world, but the band being this group of warriors and wizards and things. It was like reading a D&D campaign with the same kind of dialogue that you would have sitting around a table playing it, cracking jokes and things like that, making fun of one another and stuff. And then again, we meet our token wizard, and he's mourning the loss of his husband. And so again, these are just most of the time, with very few exceptions, these are instant DNFs for me. So I put it down, to which Nicholas Eames commented and called me a bigot. So I do not plan on picking up or supporting his works anytime soon. So yeah, that's book number 2. Book number 3 is going to be The 11th Cycle by Kian Ardalan. Now, the cover of this book is awesome. Everybody kept saying this is like a Dark Souls type of book. The background is a Dark Souls theme. While I didn't play Dark Souls, that's not my kind of game. I loved the look of the world. When I read what the story is about, I read the back cover, I was like, this sounds awesome. It's this grim, dark, gritty world. I'd never read any grim, dark at this point. So I pick it up, I think sometime last year. I finally decided to start reading. So far, it's pretty good. There's a few different points of view, but with this one, it really equated to like fantasy porn or fantasy smut or whatever you want to call it. It wasn't grimdark. It was just gross. It was just nasty. It was not just explicit, but it was so explicit that I was not just cringing, but I felt ashamed that I'd even read as much as I did. Now, again, these are all personal preference things, but for me, man, this book was just filthy. And that's the only way that I can describe it. And so when I picked the book up, I really had some high hopes. I was like, grimdark may be my kind of thing. And I think I've just come to realize that grimdark is not for me. If all of it kind of looks like that, I'm not trying to paint with a broad brush, but that is really one of the only grimdark books that I've even attempted. And so to me, it just seemed filthy, and I felt dirty after reading it. So I had to put it down. Book number 4 is going to be The Murderbot Diaries. So this is another one that I picked up. It seemed really interesting. There was a lot of hype around it on BookTube and things. So I know they're short stories or novellas or whatever. And so I was like, well, this is going to be a great palate cleanser, especially with it being sci-fi. They said there's a lot of humor in it. And so I'm like, this is going to be great for in between my huge, chunky, epic fantasy books. So I'm going to pick this one up and just have some fun with it. And I really did for about the first half. And it ended up being not just childish jokes. And by childish, I don't mean like, oh, it was kiddie humor. No, what I mean is there's a lot of potty humor in it. It almost felt like watching an episode of Family Guy when I was 13. You know, I mean, or South Park. It had that same feel of like, oh, I'm watching this because it's, it's dirty or it's gritty, and really part of the draw was that because it was a little bit taboo, that's what made the jokes funny and things. On top of that, there's all kinds of sexually explicit content in there. And so after the potty humor and the sexually explicit content, I just realized this isn't for me. I'm going to put it down. Not to mention those little novellas are like $32 a piece or something. And that is absolutely ridiculous. So I put this down and I will not be going back to it. And book number 5 that I DNF'd is Empire of the Vampire. Now this is one that is extremely popular that I put down before I ever picked it up. I kept hearing Mike over at Mike's Book Reviews in particular, but there were several other people on YouTube that were highly recommending this book, and it sounded really cool. At the time I picked this up, I was reading the Dresden Files, and so I'm like, okay, so this is like Dresden Files, but a little more intense, and specifically with the story of these vampires. I loved the Underworld movies, and at least when I watched them, it's been a long time. I love the old school monsters. Good stories with good characters, and then you throw vampires and werewolves in there and you normally have me hooked. I just love those old school monsters and a fresh take on them. So when I heard about this, I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. And I am not kidding. The day before I picked it up, Mike released his review of it, because before he had been talking about what he was reading week to week, and he was talking about how much he loved this book so far. And then when he gets to his review, he finally says, man, this guy invented new swear words, and if you don't like certain, like the extremely intense swear words, you are not going to like this book because it is every other page. But he was saying it sort of tongue in cheek. And that was one of the things that drew him to it. That's not for me. So I DNF'd this book. I had purchased it. It was sitting on the shelf. I was getting ready to pick it up, and I DNF'd this book before I ever picked it up, because from Mike's review and others afterwards, and then from some counsel that I've gotten from some Christian brothers, this will not pass. You shall not pass! What a friend of mine called my own personal sniff test. So I just immediately, I had a brand new copy of the book. I turned around and resold it for what I paid for it. So I have nothing in it, and I don't feel like I missed out at all. So guys, these are 5 books or series that I DNF'd. Let me know if these were on any of your lists, or if you guys picked these up and you liked them. I don't think you're going to convince me to pick these back up. Most likely, there's other things out there. There's so many other books out there that I want to get to and read and be entertained by that for me personally, those ones just didn't work for me. So yeah, let me know if there's other books or series that you guys DNF for similar reasons, or if something just wasn't working for you. So let me know down in the comments. Guys, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please share these videos to your Christian brothers or sisters who love to read. Maybe I can be a good resource for them to help them better use their time and money towards entertainment that they won't feel ashamed of. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.